But to think that maybe, just maybe, she was repentant enough to delay hooking up until after the divorce came through was stupid of me, I guess. She made sure I saw it, her and him walking hand in hand. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to be doing part 2, or a big update to the story I did yesterday, which was titled, Wife Has Meltdown After Husband Goes Nuclear Upon Discovering She's Been Cheating with Both Men and Women. And a big shout out to Pablo for sending me this whole story here. And guys, as a recap before I go into part 2 here, this is about the guy married to his wife for 11 years, has 2 twin sons, 8 years old, and he started noticing some suspicious behavior. And one thing led to another, and he found out that she was having an affair. Hooking up with this other dude, and he found it on her phone and all that. And he handled this thing like a boss. You all recall that. Immediately switched off all emotions, contacted an attorney, a private investigator, got all the information he needed, and then laid it out when she was at her parents' house and had her served. And as you all recall, she had the meltdown, and that was that. Packed up all her stuff in garbage bags and threw her ass out. And nobody could blame one bit. And of course, she's having a meltdown and blaming that she was lonely. And remember, she lost her job and he was paying all the bills, working 60 plus hours a week, taking care of everything, I believe, all that. But it goes to show you, welcome to today's world. And he was no reconciliation, no marriage therapy, nothing. No marriage counseling, nothing. Moving on. Now we're going to go on to a series of updates here. It's not one giant update. It's a whole bunch of minor updates that he did, letting us know what's going on in this crazy story. Because I know a lot of you guys like this and definitely were eager for part 2. That's why I raced to make sure that I got it done today. So it picks up where it left off. And he had these little titles for different little updates here. So I'll name the titles. This next one is called Kids Ask for Their Mother on Valentine's Day. He says here, if you've been following me, you know what happened in the past month and a half or so. My 8-year-old twins are mostly living with me while their mother figures out a living situation close by. She's on the verge of getting an apartment that I will have to pay for the rent for, but that is fine. Yeah, raw deal. He's paying for the rent. But in his mind, hey, I'm getting rid of her because she had no job. It all began when I was serving them lunch. They began asking for their mother, and I said that they can see her in the evening, upon which he replied that they wanted to see us together. I tried to explain what I said earlier. Their mother will be staying separately because mom and dad have decided to do so from now on. He then began saying that other kids had both their parents, so why can't they? That's a tough situation. I mean, they're kids. And a whole bunch of other questions followed. I was able to parry them all, but it was hard. I know this was just the beginning, and I know more questions and answer sessions will follow. Telling them what is in effect a lie, that mom and dad have just decided to live apart without telling them why, is so hard. I feel like telling them everything, thinking of what she did, makes me hate her so much at this moment. Well, trying to explain to a couple 8-year-olds the details, a bit difficult. I don't have children, so I of course don't know what this is like, but any of you guys that do have children or been divorced, I'm sure you can understand the tough spot trying to explain things. He says, as a quick edit here, a number of folks have asked why I'm paying the rent for her apartment. I've told her family that I will not move out of the home. She lived with her parents since D-Day, but now wants to move in closer for the sake of the kids. I will not impede her contact with our kids, but the downside is that I have to pay. I've got a band-aid on my thumb here and I can't move this piece of paper. But I have to pay rent. This is not a forever situation, and my lawyer is fighting hard to reverse or at least lessen the blow. Plus, she does not have a job at the moment. Things will change when she is employed, and my lawyer is keeping an eye on her status like a hawk. In other news, her affair partner broke up with her. His wife has asked him to stay till she gives birth, and then will reevaluate their marriage. He is unemployed as well. Wow, what a couple of winners, huh? Or is he unemployed? Oh, because remember, this guy at the end of the story went to the HR department because this guy, they were having an affair, is a workplace type of affair, and he went to them. So maybe that's it. But imagine that. Her affair partner dumped her. Now she's by herself. You all know how those things usually work out. Please take me back. Plus, I've never done better professionally. Things have been great here. The kids suspect that their mother screwed up in a momentous fashion, and they look at her differently now. Karma is great. I told them that she and I will never be together again, and they understood. As far as the mods are concerned, all I can do here is post. Thanks again, dear kindred spirit. Some people may have a problem with him being that direct and blunt to the kids. I honestly think it's the best way. Even though they're upset now to be as direct as possible, we will not be getting back together or living together or saying that in a way that a bunch of 8-year-olds can understand. But you'd be amazed what kids can figure out and understand and cope with if you really, that's it, it's done with. That's what I've observed. And I'm an uncle to multiple boys. I'm not a parent. Next update, and this will be no surprise to all you guys. It says here, soon-to-be ex-wife wants to talk, but I am having none of it. Shocker. No job, no home, living apart, humiliated. Her lover is no longer in her life. Of course she wants to talk. Gee, about what? We can only imagine. He says, one of my sons has not been keeping too well, on and off, and my soon-to-be ex-wife has been coming home to see him and spend time with him. She takes him to the doctor, too. He asks for her sometimes, and I ensure that I text her as soon as he does so that she can come on over. When she arrives, I ensure that contact between the two of us is as minimal as possible. My other son answers the door while I stay in my man cave, which also doubles as my home office. The door locks from the inside. I've stockpiled a small amount of beer and snacks in there, and this space has an attached bathroom as well. And the only time I need to step out is when I need a proper meal or coffee, or if I need to leave at the home altogether to meet a client or go see my friends. My soon-to-be ex-wife texted me the other day from my son's bedroom, is this how it's going to be for now? And I simply replied, yes. And then about 5 minutes later, I texted her not to disturb me as I was working and she could see herself out when she leaves. I know she is dying to meet with me and talk and probably achieve some closure now that she knows that reconciliation is out. But I will not give her that privilege. Any thoughts? Here are my thoughts. You're handling it right. And the only communication you should have with her is obviously about the kids. That's it. And anything about the divorce or anything like that can be done, should be done. In fact, all communication should be done as electronically as possible so there's evidence. And him being alone with her is a bad idea, and I know a lot of you guys are aware of this. And the only thing they should talk about is about the kids, nothing more. The problem is she can use that as an excuse to stick around, come over as often as possible, and try to wear him down. So I'm glad he's avoiding her, you know. And anything else, let the attorneys handle it. Okay, next update. It says here, this is just waiting to happen. He says here, she found someone. Rumor suggested it. My mind dared to deny it despite everything I knew about her. But my eyes proved it. It was almost as if she planted herself with him in my line of sight. In the right place, in the right time. While I'm not in the least surprised, it still feels like a little too soon. She got a job, and that is as good as my lawyer will ensure that I do not have to pay her rent anymore, and I'm happy about that. Well, that's good. She's got a job. He doesn't have to pay the rent for her anymore. I thought she would probably not have a job as long as possible to make him pay. But no surprise there, she already found a guy. What I tell you about the gals have a very hard time being alone. And this is her way just to punish him, make him jealous. Never mind that it might mess the kids up a little bit. But to think that maybe, just maybe, she was repentant enough to delay hooking up until after the divorce came through was stupid of me, I guess. She made sure I saw it. Her and him walking hand in hand. She even turned around to check if I was looking. Oh, for God's sakes. Talk about desperate. Now comes the difficult task of facing my kids after they have seen their mother with a strange man, and reassuring them of everything. They know that she effed up, so I will just wait and see what they say first after they visit her this weekend. Oh, guarantee his boys are going to be talking about that. Why's mommy with some strange man? Blah, blah, blah. He had his hand on mommy's butt. Ha, 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 ha. Well played, you callous, cheating, unfaithful, needy fiend. Well played. Next update, or more like next post. Titled, Ironic, Isn't It? You Tell Me. It's thanks to everyone who replied to my rant about depression the other day. I was feeling way lower than usual. That feeling has gone now. especially thanks to the person who brought my post to Reddit's attention. I realize I need therapy as well, but I would like to ensure that my sons get it first. I can wait. May I help him? Remember in the first story I did yesterday, when at the end of the whole thing, when he handled it like a boss and he was as precise as a Terminator, he broke down crying and all that. Nobody can blame him. At least he didn't do it in front of her. Because this was his wife, mother of his kids, loved her once. Because he was looking at photo albums and all that, which is a bad idea, but he had to get out of his system. He says here, she keeps texting. Sometimes once a week, sometimes every day. I do not reply. Unless it's an update that definitely needs to be shared about our sons, etc. She sent me Easter wishes yesterday, and when I did not reply, she sent me this gem. Now listen to what she sent him. I know you are reading this. I know you are hurt and angry. You can make this go away. Call off the dogs. And then about 10 minutes later, be the bigger person here. You can do this. Remember Maui. He says, I promised we'd visit Maui on our 10th anniversary, but that trip did not materialize thanks to COVID. And then she lost her job. And within a month or so, she began cheating. It's ironic that the wrong, betrayed spouse is always asked to become the bigger person. Yeah, if the situation was reversed, and he did everything that she did to him, and he told her or asked her to be the bigger person, what do you think she would do? I mean, really. And it's always amazing how guys are wronged, right? Or anybody's wronged, and the other person just wants them to get over it like that. It doesn't work that way. Next update or post. He says, someone woke up a bit too late. He says here, so my soon-to-be ex-father-in-law, and that is a mouthful, seems to be positively terrified, which is fine, I thought at first. A man who is not concerned about his daughter's welfare is less than half a man in my opinion. He called yesterday, and I said I could not talk because I was working at the time, so he ensured he'd call back when I was free. But it turned out to be something else altogether. He was not worried about her. He was worried because of her. It seems that my soon-to-be ex-wife has decided to move back in with them, and that is bothering him and the family big time. So why is it his fault? Was he supposed to get back with this soon-to-be ex-wife because the father-in-law doesn't like her living there? She's a grown-ass woman. She was in an apartment. Now, this is obviously taking place over time. She can take care of herself. He could say, no, you're a grown-ass woman. You have a job. You can have your own apartment. Her family comprises of her parents. He is a henpecked geezer with a good heart, though. And the mom is an older, shrill-voiced bat who thinks she's the reason the earth revolves around the sun. And a divorced brother who is unemployed for the last 4 odd years. His ex-wife cheated on him and left him for a shoe salesman. A shoe salesman? Is it Al Bundy? He says, yes, a shoe salesman. She got the house and most of the kids' time, so he shacks up in their basement. When the kids visit, he emerges from his spider hole and acts like he lords over the house. I've seen it happen, and it is hilarious. Wow, quite the family. The soon-to-be ex-father-in-law asked if there was any chance of reconciliation. And I said no. Not because of what happened, but because he doesn't want the daughter in the house. It's bad enough he already has his loser son in the basement. He then offered to pay for couples counseling and promised she'd be on her best behavior going forward. That made me chuckle. I guess he heard it and took it as an encouraging sign. And then he said the following. It was just a drunken mistake that blew up into something that shouldn't have been there in the first place, and that the filing of divorce is an overreaction. And I'm sure we can move from this as a family. What a load of crap. Put yourself in this guy's shoes, jackass. Drunken mistake. How many times have you heard that in my stories, guys? A drunken mistake. She was meeting with this guy quite regularly. And by the way, it wasn't, as you all recall, just one guy. There was another dude that he knew about, and a chick. Although we're not hearing about those two. So that's not a one-time drunken thing. This is a well-planned, carried out, multiple affairs. He says, big mistake. I blew up. I don't blame you. Which was bad because I had a genuine affection for the guy. But this level of denial and gaslighting is something I put up with a long time with her. And she probably prodded her old man into fighting her battles once the gag order from my lawyer stopped her from blowing up my phone. Probably. Everything I wanted to tell her, I told him, and then some. He was at the receiving end of all of it, and I've been wanting to yell in her face for months. My thing lasted the better part of 15 minutes. I then proceeded to tell him that the divorce would be final in a matter of weeks now, and he should not be interfering on a cheater's behalf. In any case, this was too little and definitely too late. In the end, he exhaled forcefully and said, "Well, we will miss you," and hung up. My day is made, however, back to work then. So there you go, guys. That is the end of that part so far. And as far as I've noticed, all the updates. Now, I'll be keeping an eye out for more updates, but I think that was a while ago. So if any of you guys happen to see updates to this story, or if my man Pablo sees an update to the story, send it on over. But isn't that amazing? After everything he's been through, they're making it out to be his fault. She wants to reconcile, not happening. Then she used the father-in-law to obviously try to make it happen, not happening. It's just, good Lord. But that's the world we're in. Alright guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below, let me know what you think about this. And guys, you come across a really good story you'd like to share, by all means email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, I will when I can. And this goes for crazy articles, crazy stories like this, even your own personal story. If you got something along the lines that's kind of out there, send it over, and if it's good, I'll definitely do it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.